We got Brian Boom Kelleher back here on the program, who, of course, was supposed to fight last weekend at UFC 230. Unfortunately, had to withdraw. Brian, first off, man, how are you? How's everything going?
I'm doing all right. I'm feeling better now, but a little heartbroken, but got to just move forward.
Absolutely. You're in the car right now. Where are you headed to?
Yeah, I actually just pulled in my driveway. I was at the gym. I was doing like some sprint work, trying to just get back, keep the shape that I was in just in case something quick comes.
Let's do a little timeline here. Let's go baback to last week. At what point did you feel like there was a possibility you wouldn't be on this card? Like when did you start feeling bad? What exactly happened?
Yeah, it was in the morning when I woke up. I felt like something was off. I mean, I really didn't know exactly what it was, but I definitely can pinpoint it's probably the sushi that I got the night before because it was like pre-made sushi, in like a store. It wasn't like, freshly made or anything, and I think that was it. But it was the morning of, I started feeling, stomach stuff going on, throwing up, diarrhea, all that stuff, and then I spoke to my manager like as last minute as I could pretty much. I wanted to try to hold off to see if it would kind of fade away. Maybe if I could take something, that was allowed in New York and just get past it. But it literally went on until like 3:30, 4 o'clock when I had to check in on the bus. And I was like, man, I'm not feeling like I should, risk it and show up at the arena and then pull out.
Okay, that's interesting. Like are you notifying the UFC this is all going on? What's sort of the process when you find out that you're not feeling well, or does your management handle that? How does that happen?
Yeah, once I spoke to him, he kind of was in contact with Sean Shelby and those guys, and they were just trying to see how I was, pretty much. I told them what was going on, and they were trying to, recommend a couple of things to do, but then that was it. It was just basically like let them know, I had up until 4:30 the latest to make a decision.
Okay. And so obviously, you don't compete. And I know this was a dream of yours to compete at Madison Square Garden. So, for people thinking, you're looking for a way out, that's obviously not the case with everything that sort of went on there. Take me through sort of the rest of the couple days, after this all happens. Like, how long are you sick for? How long are you out of action?
Yeah, just the whole rest of the day, the whole rest of the night, pretty much. And then the next day, I woke up feeling like a little bit better, but very slowly, throughout the next day. By the next night, I was like, all right, it's starting to fade away a little bit. It took like 2 days to fully go away. And then I was just so devastated. And I was like, what do I do? You know what I mean? Like, I just did such a long camp, pretty much. I don't want to take my foot off the gas because now in my mind, I'm like, I want to get right back in there. I don't want to gain too much weight. The weight cut was a struggle this time. So I'm like trying to keep myself where I was before that happened and in fight shape so I can rebound quicker, sooner than later. But it was just hard to stay mentally, happy about things. I was just like, man, I put so much work in. I wasn't able to fulfill that feeling of performing and getting victory and really that release that you want after all the hard work is like, I want that so fucking bad. And then I'm not able to get that. Now I got to restart and do it again.
Had you ever had anything like that before, like food poisoning along those lines?
I've had it before. Yeah, I've had it where it was just like terrible, like throwing up like literally 6, 7 times, and you think it's gonna go away, and then it just keeps hitting you again in the stomach, and got to go back to the toilet, do your thing. But it's like one of the worst feelings in the world, because you just can't control it, and you can't figure out like is it over or not? Like you think you throw up, you go to the bathroom, you're like, all right, maybe it's gone. Then all of a sudden, like half hour passes, comes back.
Okay. And have you talked to the UFC since all this happened, like after the fact?
No, I just talked to my manager. I told him how I'm feeling. I'm like, I'm back in the gym now. I'm really, trying to maintain and keep my shape and just stay ready because I got to erase this feeling, man. Like I can't sit around on this too long. I'm ready for November 30th, December 8th, December 15th, whatever they got. I really wanted to get back in there with enough time to perhaps fight it January 19th in Brooklyn and kind of just get full redemption on this.
Yeah, and then have you talked to Montell at all? Just with the fact that obviously he took this on short notice and the fight didn't end up happening.
Yeah, I felt really bad for him. I don't just think about myself. I thought about all the work he put in. He showed up in my hometown to fight me on short notice after the first guy pulled out. And it just sucks, shit happens. But I tweeted at him. I tried to let him know, I apologize, it's unfortunate circumstances. And, I know, if they can rebook the fight, they'll rebook the fight. And I'm down to still fight. I know Milwaukee's his hometown, so I'm figuring they're probably gonna look to just do that, and I'll take it without a problem, without hesitation. So hopefully we can bounce back and rebook it.
A lot's happened in the last week. First, and we hadn't even talked about this, they had the Demetrius Johnson Ben Askren swap. Just your reaction to hearing that, and Askren being in the UFC now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think it's history right there. It's never really been done, but it's also like one of those things where I feel like it's just a business tactic. The UFC is doing what's best for them, and also giving Demetrius an opportunity to do what's best for him, and kind of making it like it's a trade, but more so buying out contracts and then having availability to re-sign somebody new. And I think that the 170-pound division has a little bit more hype and a lot more draws and pay-per-view stars. So bringing Askren in, especially a guy who's willing to talk and be enthusiastic on the mic, I think that's a big thing business-wise for the UFC. Whereas Demetrius, kind of just a pure martial artist, not willing to say much, but he's one of the best fighters, if not the best fighters in the world to watch. Really exciting fighter. So it's interesting to see it happen, but I think it's the best of both worlds for both those guys.
And just your thoughts on the flyweight division collapsing and the UFC, already releasing Jose Shorty Torres, Roberto Sanchez, Jared Brooks. Just your thoughts on all that.
Yeah, I saw a couple of videos come out on Twitter with those guys saying they've just been released out of nowhere. I feel bad for them. It's just like just another human being, just happens to be smaller, weigh a little bit lighter, but they work so hard and they do the same things that all of us do, no matter what weight we are, to pursue our dreams and make a living. So I feel for those guys. It kind of sucks, but I think there'll be other opportunities for them, whether it's one championship, Bellator, somewhere outside the UFC. Hopefully they get their worth and they get paid right. But it's just sad to see, an instant change like that out of your control when you think you're living your dream in the UFC, and now you got to figure out other things. But some of those guys are going to move up to 135, so it changes our division a little bit, adds a little bit of flavor to it, and I'm looking forward to that. I'll fight some of those guys too along the way.
Just your reaction to TJ Dillashaw. I mean, we thought he was going to fight Henry Cejudo at bantamweight, defending his title, but now he's dropping down to 125 and fighting for the title. What are your thoughts on that as a bantamweight?
Yeah, that's crazy, because they just got rid of the division, but then they're like, we'll make a title fight in that division. I think it's kind of a one-off deal. I think it's more like, let's give TJ the chance because he has done more than Henry. So let's give him the chance to get two belts in two different weight classes and make history, and then go from there. And I mean, we've seen what they've done with the belts as of late. They just kind of give it to you and then they take it away if you can't defend it. So really, TJ gets a chance to make history, become a double champ, and then they'll just wipe it away if they have to and make him just go back to 35 and defend there. At least he got it done and he made history.
Brian, glad to hear you're feeling better. Again, I'm really sorry to hear what happened last week. Speedy recovery, and hopefully you do end up getting on that Milwaukee card against Jackson. But in the meantime, just remind people where they can find you on social media, and if you have any sponsors or shout-outs, the floor is yours.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, James. Hopefully I can get back quick, but I just want to thank the Terphouse. Of course, those guys been behind me, taking care of me with the CBD needs. We got hummus with all my meals. We got Vita Cryotherapy for all my recovery and stuff like that. The Float Place and MHP, my supplement sponsor. That's about it. On social media, you can find me at Brian Boom 135 on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks, guys.